this is the Prophecy Update Part 4, and while Part 3 was rendering the wormwood part on plagues, I suddenly had a revelation as I was reading the book of Revelation, chapter 9. And I thought, I've got to get this down straight away. I mean, so much was coming out. It was too much for me to write down. Okay, I've made loads of notes in my Bible here, but I had to get it on video because everything was just fitting together nicely. And yeah, it's groundbreaking, this. I went over the sixth angel in chapter 9, and I'll just read the verse. Chapter 9 verse 14. No, actually I'll start from 13 because it carries on. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Now, who are these four angels bound in the great river Euphrates? Now, if you look at the river Euphrates geographically, you will notice that it passes through four countries in a loop, an elliptical loop. Okay? And as I went over in the other videos, the angels in Revelation, they control the forces of nature, and they're described in Enoch, and it looks like Revelation follows suit. They're described as planets, the earth itself, different parts of the world, and in this case they are four countries which are bound by the Euphrates River. And those countries, I'm going to put them on the board. Okay. Actually, I'm going to use a red pen for this. Get it right. Those four countries are Turkey. Okay, we've got Turkey at the top here. Syria, a small one underneath it, like this. Iraq, and Iran. Okay, and the Euphrates River passes through all four of these countries. These are the four angels bound by the Euphrates. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And what will happen here is these countries will form an alliance. Okay? They will form an alliance, and what comes up next in Revelation, it describes an army of 200 million. Okay? Now, there is an army of 200 million already. You've probably seen it online if you've done a bit of research yourself. China have an army of 200 million. But that isn't the army Revelation is talking about here. Because the army of 200 million is the army of this alliance. Okay? These belligerents, Turkey, Syria, Iraq and Iran, they will form an alliance and an army of 200 million. And you could probably guess where they're going for. Israel. Yeah, little Israel here, bless them. It's unfortunate really. Everyone just likes to pick on these guys. And what I noticed as I was reading this was, okay, if this happens and we have an army that large, which the Bible says will wipe out a third of man, then the most likely army or empire, I'll say, to thwart these aggressors is going to be the European Union. Okay? The EU. And yeah, this is most likely what will happen. Okay? The Empire strikes back. Alright, that's what I'm calling it. Thought you might like that. But the EU, the head of the EU, is calling the EU an empire.
Sometimes I like to compare the European Union as a creation to the organization of empires.
Right. So when all of this unfolds, and they're just going to slaughter innocents and wipe out a third of man, the EU are going to retaliate. Yeah? So, the EU strikes back, okay, at these countries here. And if successful, and they most likely will be, you know, this is an empire of European countries who will successfully repel this invasion, then what I noticed is, if that's the case, and they defeat this Muslim brotherhood, this extremist Muslim brotherhood, okay, in this part of the world, then everyone worldwide, Christians, Catholics, you know, even atheists and agnostics, are most likely going to praise the head of the EU, okay? Yeah, well done, you did it, you're the man, sort of thing, yeah? And this is where the whole world will be deceived by the Antichrist. including the false prophet who will make man worship an image of the Antichrist, and the false prophet could be a member of the clergy, a clergyman, yeah, in Rome, which is what a lot of people believe, online prophecy scholars, yeah. So, and considering the Pope is part of the European Union, you know, Italy is part of the EU, then the Pope is likely to praise the head of the EU if he is successful in repelling this invasion. So there we have it. There we have a false prophet, possibly the Pope. Like I said before, I don't like to point fingers. Magnifying the Antichrist. And people will have a false sense of security here and hope. But as 1 Thessalonians says, and I'll come to it in a minute, the Lord will come as a thief in the night, unexpectedly. And then it says after that, that people will feel safe, even when people feel safe, this is when it's going to get really bad. Yeah, and I'll just find that now. And this is the revelation I had as I was reading through this. I was like, oh my word, now it makes sense, now it all makes sense. And I look back, I'll tell you what, I look back and I thought, oh, hang on a minute. Many prophecy scholars say that the Antichrist will arrive midway into the tribulation, and this happens right at the end of the tribulation. And I looked back and I thought, hang on, we've got the angel of the bottomless pit, okay, will arrive, and I think this is where most scholars get this idea, this theory, that he will arrive midway into the tribulation. However, as I mentioned before in the other videos, it doesn't say a man, it says an angel. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And this is where in the book I mention the 5th angel and having the key to the bottomless pit. It's a reference to Satan. We also have that later on in Revelation 9:11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon, the destroyer. But there's a key word here, and it's angel, okay, not a man, not the Antichrist. So yeah, Beelzebub, Lord of Flies, and this is where, once the pit is opened, the key to the bottomless pit is opened, a load of bees will come out. Well, it says locusts, but you read the description of it, and it's basically bees, you know, Beelzebub, Lord of Flies, and that'll go over in the book. But yeah, I won't go over that much. It's in the book though, yeah. But yeah, it's an angel, okay? Not a man. And then when the sixth angel sounds, this occurs, and this is where I believe the Antichrist will rise to power. Either during this, while this is all happening, yeah, and the EU are doing their best to prevent this, or, this is what I think, afterwards, once this has all been subdued and the man in charge of that will be highly regarded and praised, okay? And let's go to Thessalonians now. Okay. Yes. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, this is what I was talking about, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And then it says to the vigilant Christians, you know, to watch when this happens, you know, and this is why I'm teaching prophecy, to warn people and make them aware of this, so that when it happens, they won't be deceived into worshipping an image of the Antichrist, okay? It says, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Okay? And this is why we need to know this. This is why we need to know our prophecy. Because otherwise we'll fall for this. Okay? And it's understandable. You could see how people would be deceived into this. And again, scholars, they believe that the Antichrist will sign a peace treaty, but he will later break that treaty, okay? And if this did happen, and these guys wipe out a third of man, then this is the most likely time for such a treaty to be drafted. Yeah? We're talking about a threat to humanity, and, you know, the end of the world here, a third of man. So yeah, it makes sense that a treaty will be written following this, that the Antichrist will then break. Okay? And you're probably wondering, well, what about this mark of the beast that men will receive? Because we hear about the seal of God in the foreheads of the righteous, yeah? And then a mark of the beast. Okay. And again, when we consider there are many different interpretations of the beast. There's the beast as a nation, as I mentioned in the previous videos. There's the beast as Satan. There's also the beast, the Antichrist, and the beast that rises from the water with the 7 heads and the 10 horns and the 10 crowns. This beast being the earth, okay, the entire world, which Satan has control over. And when you look at that and you think, okay, the beast, the mark of the beast system has already been implemented in a nation, the very same nation that I propose is the beast, one interpretation of the beast, okay, the Babylonian nation. And yeah, as I said, that nation has already implemented an RFID microchip system that is now being used in the workplace. Okay, people have this implant in their arm, in their wrist, to open doors, buy lunches and so on. And we're warned about this. John warns us about this, and he says that man will not be able to live without this implant, this mark of the beast, because it will be used to trade. And that's exactly what's going on in the USA as we speak. So there is the mark of the beast being used in that part of the world, okay, and yeah, that explains that matter. Yeah. The mark of the beast is, you know, a barcode system that will control man. One other thing I noticed, after the 4th angel sounded, and the 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and the 3rd part of the moon, and the 3rd part of the stars, so as the 3rd part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for the 3rd part of it, and the night likewise. Yeah, I concluded that that was one of the repercussions of the Great Mountain burning with fire, the eruption, the super eruption, and that was the ash cloud blotting out the sky. Man will not be able to see the sun, the moon, and the stars in a third part of the world. The army of 200 million, you read the description of this army, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, but out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Again, I mentioned this in the book, and how the tails, hang on, let me find the tails. Oh yeah. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. This could be a reference to nuclear warheads. You look at ICBM missile launchers, and they do look like they've got tails, okay? The rocket on the back of a a huge truck will lift up like this. You know, it's like a tail. It's just like a tail. So yeah, we could be looking at ICBM missile launchers here, which I go over in the book. But yeah, the sixth angel. I went over the fourth, done that already. The fifth, Beelzebub, Lord of Flies, the bees that will sting man, who do not have the seal of God in their foreheads. And then the sixth being these four countries forming an alliance and attacking the rest of the world. And that's exactly what's unfolding as we speak. Not the alliance part of it, but yeah, this is the world's hottest war zone, okay, the Middle East. Okay, that is part 4 of the prophecy update. And part 5, what will I include in 5? What comes after all of this? The rapture. The rapture. Now, alright, I might give you it. Don't know yet. I need people to buy my book. And this is a special one. I might save the best for the book, you know. Incidentally, it's on the website adamsministry.uk. There's a link to get the Kindle edition on Amazon. Yeah, I've got a Kindle edition and also a paperback version. You just get that. Jericho, Countdown to Oblivion, a prophetic revelation and guide by me, Adam Cherrington. Yeah. Yeah, get your copy now. If you can't wait for the other videos, the other prophecy updates. You get the best prophecy in the book because it's the most important information in there. But the most important message during this time is to find Christ, okay? And there's a chapter at the end of the book, my salvation chapter, and yeah, that's a little beauty. You'll like that one. Yeah. Prophecy update 4. What can I include in 5? I might go over the rapture. And the 4 horsemen, one can only speculate who or what the 4 horsemen are, but I believe that has already been, okay, which is why I haven't included it in these prophecy updates or the 7 churches, because the 7 churches, that has already been in place. Yeah, and the 4 horsemen, my theory on the 4 horsemen, that is in the book. I went with, I thought big, as I do, and who would most likely, who and what would most likely fulfill the prophecy of the 4 horsemen. Okay, that's it then. Stick around for part 5, and once again, if you know who that man is in the previous videos, who's been caught on camera smashing up our televisions, then yeah, please get back to us. Just a quick recap then. The Antichrist, possibly head of the EU empire, he will be hailed as the liberator, okay, just like Napoleon, the liberator, an Antichrist of ancient times. And yeah, an Antichrist mentioned in the Nostradamus prophecies, him and Hitler. Yeah, so this man will be the liberator of the belligerents in this part of the world. And he will sign a peace treaty that will most likely be written following these horrific events. But he will break that treaty, and we'll all be deceived into worshipping this guy for all the good work he's done in winning the war. Okay. But of course, it's not going to be him who's doing all the fighting, as always. It's going to be us, all the countries in the EU. And false prophet could be the Pope. We don't know though, just as we don't know about this. But considering what's going on over here, and how things are escalating, they're going to get on the wrong side of a lot of people, especially in the EU. So I think this is inevitable. I think this is an inevitable prophecy, because we're heading down that route right now. Yeah. I mean, look at what happened in Gaza last year and early this year. I'm amazed that we haven't taken further action on this and deployed weapons of mass destruction already. You know, airstrikes and so on, ICBMs. I'm amazed that hasn't happened already. Yeah. Certainly would have shut them up, but not now, not now. Anyway, that's the gist of it.